Dr. Giovanni Colisi here, business professor and entrepreneur consultant. Hey, let me ask you a question. I want you to take a moment and think of your favorite vacation. Where did you go? Who did you go with? How much did you pay for it? But more importantly, why did you select that vacation over others? You see, in this video, what we're going to talk about is how does your target audience recognize a want or a need exists, but more importantly, how do they make sure that they know that you exist and you have the ability to fulfill that want or need? So make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and you're going to get a number of business tips to help you advance your career. Okay, so in the previous video, we talked about the decision-making process, also known as the buying cycle. And in this process, there's a specific level of steps that your target audience takes, either consciously or subconsciously, on an ongoing basis before they make a purchase. Now, you as a business owner or a business manager, what your job is to understand, okay, what exactly are these steps? And how do I ensure that my target audience and that my target, the individuals that I want to purchase from me, how do I make sure that they recognize that I am probably their best option to fulfill that want or need? All right, so in this video, we are going to be talking about the aware stage. So what exactly is this aware stage, right? So in this stage right here, your target has to be made aware that a want or a need exists. All right, so here's the thing. If the target doesn't recognize there's something that they want or there's something that they need, they will not make a purchase from your product. So you have to make sure you fully understand exactly what it is that they want or need and make sure that they fully understand that. All right, so now, there's two ways that this happens. It can either be consumer-oriented or marketer-oriented. Let me give you a couple of examples. Let's say you are together with a group of friends. You have a vacation from work coming up, and you guys talk about, hey, you know what? I went on this exotic vacation in the Caribbean. We should all get together and go. Or maybe someone said, hey, last summer I went to Italy, and it was absolutely fantastic. We should go. That is what we call consumer oriented. What that means is that the consumer recognized that a want or a need existed without any help from the marketer whatsoever. They did this on their own. However, a want or a need could also be recognized what we call marketer oriented. And what marketer oriented means is that the communications and the advertisements produced by the marketer is what convinced that want or a need to occur. So for example, if you're watching a football game with your friends and all of a sudden you see a cruise in the Caribbean pop up and everyone starts talking to each other, hey guys, we all have a vacation coming up. Why don't we go? Or all of a sudden you are sitting on the couch with your spouse watching a movie and then you see an exotic vacation in Italy and you say to your spouse, hey, we have some vacation time coming up. Why don't we go? In that situation, it was the marketer whose efforts made you realize a want or a need exists. So the first thing you got to think of when you think of the aware stage, either it can happen by the consumer's actions themselves, we call this consumer oriented, or it can be the efforts that the marketer produces to increase that want or a need. We call that marketer oriented. In this video right here, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about different ways that you as the marketer or the business owner or the business manager, what are some different ways that you can make sure that your target realizes that a want or a need exists and that you exist as well to help fulfill that need. Yes, there will be situations where the consumer realizes this want or need on their own, but we don't want to take that chance. We want to make sure that we are front and center. We want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to ensure that new business is coming into our company. All right? So what are the goals of the aware stage? We have 4 of them. Number 1, we got to make sure we grab our target's attention. If you're watching a football game, how many TV commercials do you think are within that 3.5, 4 hour game? A lot. Do you remember all of them? Probably not. Do you even remember half of the advertisements you see in a regular day? I highly doubt it. So what you need to do is you need to make sure that your content, that what you produce is memorable and grabs your target's attention. We already started to talk about this in the previous stage, the theme stage. We looked at the goal of your campaign, you looked at the buyer persona of your target audience, and you combined and created a catchy theme to grab their attention. Well, in this stage, we put that theme to action. We put it to use. So we take that theme, that catchy concept that you created in your theme stage, and now we got to develop content out of that. So number one, we got to grab your target's attention. Number two, we got to make sure that they recognize a want or a need exists. See, they're not going to go on that vacation to your resort if they don't realize they want to go on vacation there. They're not going to go and spend money on food at your restaurant if they don't realize that, hey, I'm hungry or I want a night out with my friends. They're not going to buy that piece of clothing at your retail store if they don't realize that they want it first. Your job is you have to help them recognize that a want or a need exists. So that's the second goal. Third goal is what you need to do is you need to make sure that not only that want or a need exists, but you got to make sure you let them know that you exist. I cannot tell you how many times I will see, especially from local small businesses, I will see an advertisement and they actually do a good job grabbing the target's attention and making them recognize that a want or a need exists. But what they fail to do is they fail to properly illustrate that they exist, that the company exists. You know, if you get your target audience to recognize a want or a need exists, but yet they go and do business with a competitor instead of you, was that worth it? No, absolutely not. You need to make sure that they understand that that want exists, and you got to make sure that they recognize that you exist. All right? And then the third thing, we got to get them to search. See, the search stage is the next stage in the buying cycle. And what we need to do as marketers is we need to create a catchy, what we call a call to action, a CTA. You're going to hear me using that a lot in future videos. We got to create a catchy CTA, call to action, that motivates them to take action and actually go to either your website, your social media page, your actual physical location to give you a call. What action do you want your target to take after they view your ad? And how can you motivate them to take it? Okay, so these are the four things that we need to satisfy and complete in the aware stage. So how exactly do we do this effectively? Okay, number one, platform. What platform is your target audience using on a regular basis? Number one. And number two, what platform do you have the resources to actually produce content for that specific platform? So to give you an example, if you are going after millennials, Instagram is a fantastic platform. If you're going after senior citizens, you probably most likely will not be advertising on TikTok. So you want to think of what types of media is my target audience using on an ongoing basis. So that's number one. But what you also got to ask yourself is, do I have the resources to actually produce content for this type of medium? So if you are a local restaurant and you would love to advertise during football games, nationally televised football games, because that's actually your demographic. But here's the problem. You might not have the money to produce a national broadcast quality TV commercial. You might not have the funds to actually advertise on national television. So even though that is a platform that your target audience may use, do you have the funds and the resources to actually use that platform? No. So does that mean you cannot advertise? Absolutely not. Maybe if you want an audience that watches football, maybe you're better off buying advertisements on your local cable television. Or maybe you're better off doing advertisements on streaming video. Maybe that would be more efficient. Or maybe you're better off doing Instagram ads targeted towards individuals who like a particular football team. That could be more cost effective. All right. So, the first step, number one, is where is my target audience consuming media? And then, second, do I have the resources to actually produce content for that platform? So, here are some platform examples. TV. Now, when I say TV, it could be national TV, it could be local TV, it could be cable TV. All right. Radio or podcasts, billboards, social media ads. You could also do basic social media organic posts, streaming video, print, mailers, flyers. Even though it's not on this list, it could be search engine advertisements. All right. So what you need to do is understand what platforms is my target audience going to on an ongoing basis. How can I create content on that platform? Can that platform effectively tell the story based on the theme and the concept that I've put together? And do I have the resources to execute it? So that's step number one. Step number two, grab the attention of the target audience. So now that I understand what platform I'm going to use, I'm going to use podcasting. It's not visual, it is audio. I need to do something on a audio basis that grabs my target's attention as I apply the theme. Maybe I'm doing video, whether it's streaming video or national broadcast or local broadcast. Now I have visual and sound. How do I use this format of video to apply this catchy theme, this catchy concept that I created in my theme to this aware stage? Maybe you're doing a social media ad, all right? So you don't have audio, you don't have moving video, you just have an image. How can I create a catchy element, a catchy image, a catchy photo that grabs my target's attention in this form of social media? Maybe you're doing an Instagram reel. So you do have video, you do have sound, but you only have a couple of seconds. How can I use that format to grab my target's attention? So once you've identified the platform of the content that you're going to create, now you got to think, how am I going to apply the concept of my theme to this platform that grabs the attention of my target? Here's a very important thing to remember. It's about the consumer, not you. This is what's going to determine whether your content is effective or if it fails. It's about the consumer. It needs to be consumer-based, not about you. It cannot be focused on you. It will not be as effective. Now, you might be asking me a question right off the bat. Okay, well, consumer, me, what's the difference? What are you talking about? I want to show you a couple of examples. So here are two posts. These are both Instagram posts of local restaurants. Now, I got these from Canva. I do not want to show bad examples from real live companies. I would never want to do that. So these are just two generic posts from Canva. But I want you to look at the concept of both of them. What one grabs your attention above the other? Most likely, you're going to select the image that says where family comes together. Why is this so much more appealing? Well, what is the focus of the ad? People, families having a good time, families coming together. This is what we call consumer focused. It is focused on the consumer. Now look at the other post. Why is this not so impactful, not the best post? This is what we call brand focused. It's about the brand. It's telling you to buy from the brand. It's showing you nothing but the brand. Okay? Let me give you an example. And I do this in my classes all the time. I always get the same result. I always ask the class, how many of you love to buy? How many of you love to shop? Right? Now, that could be going out shopping for clothes. That could be out going to dinner with your friends. That could be going to live concerts. That could be going on a vacation. How many of you love to shop? How many of you love to buy? I'm sure all of you are going to raise your hand. You love buying things on an ongoing basis. You love going on vacations. You love going out to eat with your friends. You love getting new clothes. You might not like the bill later, but you still love the fact of buying it, right? But then I asked the class, okay, pretty much all of you said you love to buy. How many of you love to be sold to? How many of you love to go to a used car dealership and have a pesky salesperson nagging you every step of the way? How many of you love going to a furniture store where you have a salesperson trying to tell you what you want to buy instead of you being able to look out what's on the floor and seeing what you would like to purchase? Now, I've had fantastic experiences with car salespeople as well as furniture salespeople. I'm just providing an example. We all love to shop, all of us. But most of us, if not all of us, hate to be sold to. There is a difference, and that is what we're talking about, being consumer focused as opposed to product focused. On the image that says where family comes together, that is helping you shop. That is helping you buy. It is creating an emotional connection with the brand. That's what we want. You can see the emotional expressions on the family in that image. It is creating an emotional connection with the brand. That is consumer focused. The other one, all it's doing, it just shows food from the restaurant, and that's it. It is a sales piece. It is a hard sell. It is telling you, hey, buy from me, buy from me, buy from me. There's no emotional connection whatsoever. There is no people in that post whatsoever. There is nothing that focuses on the target audience. It is only product centric. Consumer focused content will outperform brand focused content all the time. Now, if you're Apple and you're Nike and you have this multi-billion-dollar brand, maybe then you can be a little more brand centric. Most of you are not in that situation. All right? So let me show you another example. Here you have two real estate posts. What one do you think is more effective? If you said the Taylor's new home, you're absolutely right. Again, why? It is focused on the consumer. You see a happy family in front of their brand new house. You see the emotional impact with their smiles and the excitement and the joy in their faces. They have their new house to start and grow their family. And underneath that, it clearly has the individual's contact information. It says we can do the same for your family. Now notice the other post. Quality agent, call me to discuss your house buying needs. All right. So if you're literally going to spend almost $500,000 on a house, what agent do you want to do business with? Do you want to be the agent? Do you want to do business with the agent that's helping families reach their dream houses and reaching their goals? Or do you want the other agent who's merely focused on, hey, I'm here, I want some money, I want some commission, come do business with me? I'm pretty sure you're probably going to choose the agent with the Taylor's new home. And in your mind, you're probably thinking, okay, well, she did a great job for the Taylors. They obviously look happy. Maybe they can help my family as well. Again, you can see how one post is consumer-centric and the other post is brand-centric. As you're creating your content, you want to ask yourself, is the content I'm creating focused on the consumer and developing an emotional connection with them? Or is the content I'm creating really just focused on me and I'm that pesky salesperson? Help your target shop. Create an emotional connection. Don't be a pesky salesperson. All right, let me show you a couple of more examples. Now, you've seen this picture in a previous video with branding. So this is Under Armour. And now you might be saying, hey, there's products in there. Of course, I'm not saying you cannot have your product in the content. It just can't be product focused. What is the focus of this piece of content? You have the Notre Dame football coach. You got a couple of professional athletes. You have The Rock. And yes, there is a post with product. That's perfectly fine. But what is the focus? The focus is on the consumer. And you can see the individuals, the emotion on their faces. You can see that they are determined and focused on their sport. That is consumer focused. Now, that bottom left image where it just shows shorts, sneakers, a shirt, if every single post was about that, then yes, that would be product centric. You can have some product placement in your content, right? It just can't be the focus. The focus has to be developing an emotional connection with your target. The focus has to be your consumer. And you can see how this is consumer focused. Let me show you another example, Hobby Lobby. Again, we use this image also in the branding video. Yes, there are products in this post, but why is this consumer centric? Because it's not just the products. You're creating an emotional value with how the products are placed. The products are not just simply at a storefront. The products are decorated in your target audience's home. What you're doing is you're creating an emotional value saying, hey, your home can look just like this. We can help you make your home as decorated and festive as these images. You want a decorated house. We can help you. That is what's illustrated in these images right there. So as you're developing your aware stage, one of the biggest challenges you're going to have is making sure that your content is focused on your target audience and not yourself. That will tremendously take your business to a whole new level. All right. So again, let's look at the difference. Here are two product-centric images, and here is a consumer-focused image. Can you see the difference? This screams pesty salesperson. This is helping you shop and appealing to your emotions. That's what you want to do. All right, number 3, CTA. CTA is a real important word in marketing. CTA clearly means call to action. So think of these words for a second. Call to action. Action. What specific action do you want your target audience to take when they view your content? What specific, and notice I'm saying specific, what specific action do you want your target to take after they view your content? Do you want them to go to your social page and follow? Do you want them to like your post? Do you want them to go to your website? Do you want them to go into your store? Do you want them to call you? Do you want them to download your app? There's endless possible actions that you want your target to take. But pick one. Don't overcomplicate it. Pick one for this piece of content. Of course, you can use other CTAs for other types of content and for other campaigns. But for one piece of content, pick one CTA. Make sure it is simplistic and make sure that you clearly articulate what exact action you want your target to take. So often I'll have students say, well, it's obvious. I want them to go to my store. No, it's not obvious. Or you'll have students say, oh, it's obvious. I want them to go to my website. No, it's not obvious. Never assume in marketing. That is one of the biggest mistakes you can make. Never assume that your target is going to take an action. What you need to do is you need to clearly define and clearly articulate in your campaign, in your content, what action that you want them to take. If you're doing a video, the last 10 to 5 seconds, clearly illustrate with the voiceover or an image on the screen or someone actually telling the audience what action to take. Clearly illustrate that. If you're doing a podcast or a radio advertisement, clearly tell the audience what action you want them to take in that last 5 to 10 seconds. If you're doing a social media post, if you don't have enough room in the actual image, in the description, in the text description, clearly tell the target audience what action you want them to take. All right? It has to be clearly articulated. That's number one. Number two, is it realistic? Will your target audience really make this action? If you're in the middle of a football game and your TV commercial comes on air and you're telling your target audience to get off the couch and hurry up and get to your location because today's the last day of the sale, is that realistic that they're going to do that? Probably not. If you tell your target audience, okay, you need to follow my page, you need to like 3 photos, you need to send me a DM, and you need to post a particular picture with my hashtag on it, do you think they're going to do all of that? Most likely not. So not only do you have to clearly articulate what action you want your target to take, ask yourself, is this action realistic? Is it realistic that they will take this action? Number 3, motivate. How can you motivate your target audience to take this action? What can you do to motivate your target audience to take this action? So for example, if you are a restaurant, a local restaurant, and you want your target audience to go to your website, maybe you are telling them, hey, I have 5 of our famous recipes that you can download right now for your own home at our website. Notice what I've done here. I want them to go to my website. Now, is that realistic for them to go to my website? Probably. And if you're doing a video, probably do a QR code. It's much more simplistic. Let's say you have a TV commercial. You have a QR code at the end. You're asking them to go to your website. Is that realistic? Yep. How are you going to motivate them? Well, you're going to offer them 5 of the most popular recipes that your restaurant serves that they can download for free to make at the comfort of their own home. That's one example of motivating them. Here's another example. Let's say you're a local retail store. Hey, go to our website right now and find out how you can get 20% off your next purchase. They click the QR code on the TV screen, goes to your website. They fill out a little form to get an email, and then all of a sudden they get 20% off emailed to them for the next purchase. Is that realistic? Yep, that sounds realistic. And it motivates them. You could also do an event where maybe you're a car dealership and you have a brand new model that just came in, and you're telling people, go to my website so you can schedule your complimentary test drive. Maybe you're having a live event at your location and you're telling people, hey, get the details for this live event or sign up for free for this live event. It doesn't matter. There are so many different things that you can do. But what you got to think of in your CTA is, number 1, what specific action do I want my target to take? 2, is it realistic? 3, how can I help motivate them to take this action? What can I do to provide value? Remember, value, what I get minus what I give. They're going to give their time to go to the website. You're going to make that time worth their while. What value are you giving them to make it worth their while to go to your website, or to go to your social media page, or to follow your Instagram page, or whatever action you want them to take? You have to make it worth their while. Okay, so that's the call to action. And then the final thing is KPIs. I know in marketing we have so many acronyms. KPI is key performance indicator. Key performance indicator. You need to know whether this piece of content is going to be successful or not. But how do you know? What are you going to use to determine that? What key metrics are you going to use to make sure your campaign was effective? Are you going to do social media follows? Are you going to do social media engagements? Are you going to do physical visits inside your location? Are you going to do dollars spent? Are you going to do units sold? Are you going to do a number of email leads you got on your website? Maybe it's 1, maybe it's 10. But what metrics will you use to make sure that this piece of content is effective? You want to clearly define that right off the bat so there's no questions after your campaign is launched. All right? And to wrap things up, this is what you want to end with. This is an aware profile. This is everything that you need to do in the aware stage to make it effective. What platform are you going to use that your target audience is actively using, that you have the resources to produce content for? How are you going to use your themes concept to grab your target audience's attention in this type of media? What is your CTA? What actions you want your target to take when they see this ad? or this piece of content? What specific action do you want them to take? Is it realistic that they will take this action? And how can you help motivate them to take this action? What can you provide that would be worth their while for them to take that action? KPIs. What are the key performance indicators that will tell you if this piece of content was successful or not? And then notice what I have on the bottom. Hex, fonts, concept. This is all from the theme stage. So if you guys haven't watched that video, make sure you take the time to watch the video on campaign theme. It's a really important video. And what you're doing here is, remember, we got to build consistency. We got to build that frequency level up. Frequency is how many times your target audience sees your campaign, how many times they see the same message. The more times they see that message, the more likely they are to act. So this right here is the hex, the fonts, and the concept that you already created in your campaign theme. You're just going to want to make sure that it's reinforced on this piece of content. Now, in this aware stage, you might create one piece of content, you might create 10. In this aware stage, you might just want to do an Instagram reel. Or you might want to do a TV commercial, an Instagram reel, an Instagram post, a podcast advert, a blog, and you have a whole series of content. You can have as many pieces of content as you have the resources for in this aware stage, as long as all of these steps are followed. All right, guys, so that is the aware stage. In the next video, we're going to talk about the search stage. So after you've grabbed their attention, after you've used your effective CTA, and they've gone to that next stage of the buying cycle, and they're looking for more information on how you can fulfill these wants that they have, how exactly do you create those pieces of content? That's what we're going to talk about in the next video. Have a good one, guys.